Morning, everybody. How you all doing? I don't know what you all saw. Goodness gracious, because it came in like 20 minutes, 20 seconds in. Ooh, I don't like that part. But anyhow, um, it is May the 9th, and I got hit over the head again with some travel. So even though I had already planned on being in Baltimore this weekend, just got told Thursday late that I would need to pack my shit and get on the road again. That's cool. I kind of figured it was going to happen. Didn't know it was going to happen this soon, but I'm prepared for it and looking forward to it. I decided too, yo, that I'm gonna go to Tulsa for the commemoration of the atrocity committed in Tulsa, Oklahoma, back in 1921. So I want to go back for that this year. Um, then I'll let him know because I was going to make it a surprise, but I'm not going to make it a surprise. I'm gonna go to Vegas for Father's Day.
I might go there with you. I might, I might,
Okay.
I might make that trip with you. God
Okay.
willing. God willing. I might. It's going crazy here lately. Oh, it's going crazy, man. They
What's
some.
what's going on with you?
Oh man, dude, the town is, man, brother. They suing black folks like it's going out of town now. They went from, you know, you know what, man. I'm gonna tell you something. It went from the Somalis to our community, where they're pretty much suing all of the black organizations who were doing work in the community, from the churches to another organization. My son, one of his closest friends who passed away, his father had an organization, or has an organization called We Push for Peace. They just announced that they're suing him tomorrow. And I will tell you, one of my issues, and I have a meeting with the leadership of the DFL party next Tuesday. Here, the president of the DFL party, they reached out to me because of my post last week about the DFL. And, I don't like when stuff like this happens. And I say this to black folks every election cycle. The Democrats, unfortunately, try to prove that they're tough on crime by prosecuting black folks. And it is a trend that has been happening since I was a kid. And I know we see stuff and then we start whispering, oh, this person is guilty, that person is guilty. But let me tell y'all, that's not always the case. Uh, I,
Right.
the church, I talked to Pastor Heron over at Zion Church. They invited me out. Hey, salute, Brother Marlon. Good morning to you. Um, I talked to Pastor Heron, and I know Pastor Heron when since I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? When I was in high school, he was the city council member. His daughter, Nicole, and I went to school together. As a matter of fact, when I went to the hospital some years back, with my lady friend, she was the person that bumped up in line so she could be seen in a true dire situation early. But I know the family, I say that to say his heart is pure and he wasn't there trying to hustle the people, and they got paperwork and they got accounts and they got stuff of that nature. But what happens here is they want Amy Klobuchar to become governor of Minnesota because Walt's is stepping down. And part of this is Klobuchar also came in, and here's the funny part about it. She's known for locking brothers up wrongfully as the county prosecutor. So now they're back to locking folks up, and everybody's talking about it online. Everybody's like saying, hey, all of these things are taking place. But I'm gonna be real with you, man. It's been a crazy tenor around here because everybody's looking over their shoulder, like, yo, what's going on? Because they thought the attorney general was a friend. But they're finding out, man, that hey, man, they out here cooking, they cooking black folks. And let me say this last piece to the people out here that's not from Minnesota and those who are watching from Minnesota. None of these people have taken over $100 million. None of these people have taken over $10 million. And I'm pointing that out because some people might say, oh, $1 million is a lot. $30 million is a lot. Yeah, but what they're suing them for is the most is $6 million. Keep in mind what other people were stealing and how long, and go look at the dates that they're saying that they're doing all of this. Ask yourself, why all of a sudden are they going back so short of a time to these black organizations, but they allowed the Somalis to operate for so long, stealing billions of dollars? What I saw with Push for Peace, and people are talking. Let me explain this to y'all. They were sending $9 million in cash every other day out of Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport.
Ooh.
$9 million in cash. And that money was not going into the economy here in the US. That money was going out to Somalia and through the rest of the world. That crashed UCare. By crashing UCare, that almost crashed HCMC. And that's very important because if you take out the biggest hospital inside of Minneapolis, after taking out the healthcare, uh, yeah, $9 million every other day, Marlon. That's facts. So I want black folks, before we start talking bad about each other, ask the question, why now?
So I want to. So Jamar says, "Push for Peace robbed us."
I'm gonna be real with y'all. They did not rob y'all, and I'm gonna say that respectfully, because they said it about the church as well. I wouldn't say that they robbed you. And the reason why I say that respectfully is because I know that I know the community was asking. I was asking I was there with the community voted against them giving that liquor store to We Push for Peace on Broadway, and the city gave it to them anyway. I was in attendance, and everybody said they did not want We Push for Peace to have that liquor store. Ask the mayor, ask city council, why did they give him that building? Why did they allow that to happen? And you got to understand there's other things that's in play. Now notice it's a story, and they're saying they're suing two people. But out of the two people, the only face that they showed you was the African American man. I just want to point that out there. There's a white woman's name in there. But the person that's the face of the story is who? The brother. Well, why do y'all think that they were allowed to give the money? Why do y'all think they gave them the money so casually? Who do you think they was giving the money to? Trust me, the white lady is the reason why they were getting the money. I can tell you, I can tell you just based off of what they was not giving Black Civic Network and some of the other organizations I work with, because we didn't necessarily have white people inside of the organization that was asking for the money. And I'll say this a lot of times. There's always a multitude of people who are vying for grants and everything else at the same time. They choose who they want to give the money to. And I think that that's very important for us to really realize. They choose who they want to give the money to. You said, yeah, they did, bro. Trey admitted that he used the money for personal use. That's what they say inside of the article. They stated that. I didn't see Trey state that. And I want to be clear, Jamar. Sometimes, and I'll say this for real, we recite what they say in these news articles as if it's facts.
So this bleeds into this bleeds into what I wanted to get into. And Jamar, keep it coming because I wanted to get into this for a moment as well. I was I ran across a young man yesterday at the airport. We got to chopping it up. Good
Mhm,
young man. You know what I'm saying? He got he's doing his thing. Um, and he was in foster care. I
mhm,
think since he was 12, 14, one or two.
mhm,
Got out. Again, that has done well for himself, has a daughter, and he was coming from visiting his daughter. Long story short, point of all this I'm trying to make is it's situations like this where we get conflicting information, only get half truths, quarter truths, that I believe lead us down the road of mistrust, lead us down the path of the unwilling to cooperate with one another in order to get things done because we too often see ourselves through the lens of somebody else.
mhm,
To Thomas's point, you only see the face of the story being the brother, not the other person involved. To Jamar's point, but Jamar, I can't keep up with everything you're writing. I'm trying to talk, and I can't look that look that far off, bro. But um, uh, I'll keep posting your comments though. So yeah, please keep them coming. But what I think again, this is divisive This is divisive behavior. This is a divisive ploy and plot to keep us from getting together and working on things because again, you only see a half truth, maybe a quarter truth, but that's what you know, and that's what sticks in your head. So when you're thinking about going out here and building something, doing something, Tom, it's much like what you're doing, right?
Mhm.
When you're thinking about going out here and starting something and building something, it's difficult for you to get that seed money. It's difficult for you to get any type of assistance, even if it's not seed money. It's just uh, post, like and post, a reshare.
Mhm.
That's important. That's just as important as capital
Yeah.
nowadays. Getting that traction, getting the algorithm to start looking for you and looking out for you and acknowledging that there's folks out there that like what you're talking about, like what you're doing. This is why we say follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, on the TikTok. I'm still gonna call it the TikTok. I know it's not that, but I'm still gonna call it the TikTok because I'm
Right.
old and that just sounds cool as shit as being old. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, follow us on TikTok and stuff like that. But um, uh, we need to find places like what we provide, find resources that we can trust to help us make better decisions. One of the things, again, going back to the young man, that's why I brought him into the story. He asked me yesterday. He was like, "So, man, how do you find resources that you feel are trustworthy to speak on the stuff that you speak on during the show?" And I was like, "Yo, to be real, a lot of the things I do, a lot of the resources I find, I go international. To be honest with you, because the American lens is dirty." And that filter is filthy. So I get a wide breadth of resources. I do my own research, and that's what I put forward. You know, um, I cannot not always go down the rabbit hole because I don't know who the hell started the hole. So I'm not always going to go down that, but I will do my due diligence to find the best truth that I can and then bring it to the people because as he said, as I've heard other people say, Jackie, when she was on last week, she was like, "Yo, I don't watch the news, but I love your show. And I forgot you were doing it, but I'll tune in moving forward because it gives me a great opportunity to learn something different, to see something different.
Yeah.
And it's more palatable." That's the purpose behind the show. The
Mm.
purpose behind this is to get information to the people so it's palatable. And Sister Rashi's on, and she will kick me in the head if I don't say this. It's actionable. We give you information that you can take and take action upon it so that hopefully those actions move into the sphere of larger actions. They become a movement, and then real change happens. And understand fully that that's not going to happen immediately. Understand fully that's not going to happen with the click of a mouse or a snap of a finger, anything like that. I was thinking about myself the other day. I was like, one of the things that I love about me is I don't have to be the center of attention. One of the things I hate about me is I don't have to be the center of attention. So it puts me in a bind sometimes when I see people and they recognize me, but they're like, I know this guy, but I really don't know this guy. I want to be that dude, but I don't want to be that dude. I do want to be that dude as soon as I walk in. You're like, oh shit, that's Lee. You know what I'm saying? Let's leave on.
Right.
Yeah, but another problem I have is I move around too much, so the continuance of interactions is lowered. So it's like I remember you, but I don't really remember where I know you from. When I went to the high tea a couple weeks ago, brother walked in. He saw me. He knew me right off the bat. His whole demeanor changed. His face lit up. But you also saw that. But damn, what's this brother's name? And I was like, yeah, that's cool. So I walked up to him. I was like, hey man, Lee. He's like, oh, what's up, Lee? And it was cool. And I dig it. I get it. Put all that to the side. Stick with the main point. The main point is the divisive behavior, the divisive plotting and planning, folks specifically constantly pitting us up against one another. We got to learn a way to get over that. We have to recognize that game and sidestep it. We got to get our stuff together. We got to find a way to come to a mutual understanding that's beneficial for all. Thomas has said it a million and one times. The difference between the other groups and us is they can argue amongst themselves in that room, but once they step out of that room, they are in single file and in unison.
And I will tell you,
We have to get that.
and I will tell you, there is no Somalis on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube saying that the Somalis stole from us. And that's just a fact. And I want to say this clearly because I sat at a table on Monday, which I didn't even know I was going to be at that table. And it was some things working with the police. And what was said consistently by Somali leadership was that they're not us and they are friendly with the police and they are friendly with the government. And they kept on, it was like a backhanded compliment. Yeah, we're on the shoulders of black folks, African Americans, blah, 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 blah. But we love the police. And our relationship is different. And we'll work with the FBI. And we will blah, 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 blah. And you sit back and you look at who was coming out of who was coming from graduation. It wasn't our people. And it's not that black folks don't apply. A lot of black people applied to get into the academy. Guess what happens? They're getting plucked off. You know why? Because they'll use their relatives. Oh, Lee, you got a cousin that sold dope. You can't be no cop. Oh, Rashi, you got a sister who wrote bad checks. You can't be no cop. That is the kind of stuff that's going on with our community. And we have to stop sometimes reciting. And I'll drop this tidbit. I know the millionaire mogul who was behind Traherne and them. I reached out to him for the Watch app. He owns motels. And yes, he owns a motel inside of Las Vegas as well. And I also know the other guy that was behind Traherne getting that building on Broadway. Another billionaire who owns a lot of real estate. Matter of fact, he owns the current building that Camo J sits in right now. Those were the people that were behind him, Jewish folks. Now, I will say this again. I know the guy who gave him a lot of the money. I talked to that guy several times. Matter of fact, he told me call him several times about the app. And I'm not mad at Traherne, and I try to make sure that I'm not saying that he is guilty or not guilty. But what I want to say to my community again, they ain't crossed $100 million. And I'm not going to say they stole from us because there were other organizations that the city could have given that money to, and they did not. And what they're upset about, Lee, is during Operation Surge, they said that there was no money, that they needed them to give money to the community because they sat that money with them and they didn't have the assets to help the community during that time. My question again, and I'll ask that question till I'm gone, who chose them over all of the other organizations that's been doing work before they got around?
So I want to get to Jamar's statement. All right. So bro said, this is true, but we also have to be honest about there being bad actors amongst us. Never a denial of that. Never. But what we cannot do is allow that construct to be the major factor in our decision because those bad actors are few. They're not many, they're not most, they're few. But those are the few that will always get highlighted. They will always get highlighted. It's by design. As Malcolm said later on, Malcolm said, playing the guilty by association card. Yes, and that's exactly what it is. Just because somebody chose to go the short route, chose to get that fast money, don't mean everybody is out there getting that fast money. Just because four people you know chose to slang dope, that doesn't mean that's all your friends. That doesn't mean that's all the people that you know. That's four folk that chose to slang dope. It's a lot of other people that you know never took, never seen the drug, never been around the drug. So that's the cautionary tale here. That's what I mean by we have to not allow ourselves to get caught up in the minutia and the bullshit that folks are trying to put out. because that's what it is. It's a setup. It puts you in that mental cage where you're always locked in or boxed in with, well, man, I can't trust them folks.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put no money in with them folks. Because as soon as I put my money, I'm gonna lose everything I got. Somebody gonna run off with my dough. Somebody gonna get a new pair of J's with my dough, and that's gonna be a problem because I had it then, but now money looking a little tight. I need my money. I need my ROI. I need that back, Jack. What's up? And you walking down the street with a brand new pair of J's, I'm leaving here with something. I'm leaving here with something. And that's the huge issue. You know what I mean?
Major. And let me say this piece too, and Rashi would appreciate this. In the early, I want to say 2015, 2016, the push around here was for schools, charter schools.
Mm.
A lot of the charter schools failed. But you know why they failed, Lee?
Why's that?
The white accountants who were allowing
Mm.
people to steal from the schools and misappropriate funds. But when the school failed, they would bring out the director. Most people don't know that the board is responsible for the director. And the accountants were not keeping the money right with the board. Sometimes the accountants would allow the director to pull money out of the school without the board's signature. And I can go through the schools and tell you who the schools were and the accounting firms that were screwing these schools over. I just want y'all to know that when we start talking millions of dollars, we're talking about millions of dollars. It's not typically the people who you think, because there are things there's layers in place that is supposed to be there to where there's other people that say, no, why are you taking this money out? You're not. So if you got a nonprofit, your nonprofit is supposed to have a board. Your board of directors for the nonprofit are the ones that are supposed to sign off on you being able to pull money out. Similar to charter schools, not the principal, not the director. Those are the faces of the school. It is the board who is supposed to say, hey, you can, we're going to okay this because we have to vote on money over a certain amount, right? That is supposed to be on the board. And I'll say it again. When the story comes out, guess who's never the persons that they're talking about? And I'm telling y'all this as a former member of an executive board at a charter school, Sun Academy, that we had to fire our director because the accountants was allowing her to use funds that she was not supposed to have access to because the board was criminally responsible for any funds that were misappropriated, not her. And so, no, it's not that the boards are a shell game, Marlon. What it is that these people know how to. You start learning after a while. Once it happens to you, and then you watch it happen to other people, you start saying, "Wait a minute, this accounting firm was working with us when this happened, and now they're working with them, and then this happens to them, and then we had to tell them, like, hey, wait a minute, she's not supposed to have access to a check card or a checkbook. She's not supposed to be able to have that. That's supposed to come to where? That's supposed to come to us. She's not supposed to be able to sign off and say this, that, and the other. Y'all know this. Y'all been in business longer than she's been in business. But why all of a sudden can she do something y'all know she ain't supposed to be doing? And y'all are the accounting firm. And these things are signed off through you. It's the same thing in the nonprofit world, y'all. It's the exact same thing. So when they post those black folks' faces up there, then you're supposed to say, okay, well, who's the board? Because now you start with the board chair and you go all the way back down the line, not just those people. And you have to understand that process, because if you don't understand that process, what we start doing, we start these plantation politics. Well, they say he did it or she did it. Wait a
Or
minute.
they.
Or they
Who
did
the
it.
hell is they?
Those days that they're naming, notice the board ain't never, and then they said, oh, and then they got in trouble because the board, they didn't have a functional board. You know why that's important? Because in order to be a nonprofit, you have to have a functional board, because your board is supposed to be over your director. Your board is supposed to be the boss. Whoever chairs the board is really the head honcho of a nonprofit. And that's hard for us to get because we think presidential. We think, oh, that person is the president. So I just want to make sure that I explain that today, because sometimes when these things take place, and look, I want to say this again. I'm not saying brother is and he didn't do anything wrong or that he did do anything wrong. But what I said when the Somalis were going through this aspect of it was that they were not online throwing each other under the bus. I think y'all can remember me saying that. They were not in the news throwing each other under the bus. We've had 3 black organizations in the last 3 weeks, and I've seen black people throw black folks under the bus. And I will say it again. If I combine all 3 of them, the 6 million with this brother, the 2 million with one church, the 2 million with another church, that's $10 million. These folks stole $1 billion. Ain't nobody in their community sneezed online. And here we go talking about what? Okay.
And I think that's a situation where you're trying to distance ourselves, but I think the way we do it is a bad look.
Oh, hey Lee,
Again.
this was crazy. Remember last year we was passing out food, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how come the people that was giving them money when we was passing out food, and on the news, by the way, on every channel, notice the difference. Notice the difference. We're giving out food. That's not the gossip in the community. No, 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 no. Ain't nobody mobilized, come together and say, yo, y'all see them giving away that food to people for free? Man, we need a pitch. Oh, that's not the conversation. But when it's bad, now if they would have came back and said Thomas Berry stole $600,000 last year while he was fronting like he was giving food away, everybody
Still be talking about it.
huh?
Still be talking about it. Still be
talking about it. But giving the food away and then asking the community for help,
we give it away.
Man, I got one sister. Shout out to this sister. I ain't gonna say her name because she told me don't say her name. She sends me $25 a month still for the pantry to help out once we start and everything else to get this thing going again. She sends $25 a month. That's the contribution that I've got. That's the contribution I've gotten. Not a contribution from anybody else who has nonprofits that can waste millions of dollars if that's what we're saying people are doing. Not hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's what we're saying people are doing. Not tens of thousands of dollars, that's what we're saying people are doing. I'm just telling y'all, sometimes it's best to kind of understand the strategy. And the strategy is, because there's a primary coming up, the Dems have to look like they're tough on crime. When they want to look like they're tough on crime, they go after us. That is an old playbook. Not saying Buddy or any of them are right or wrong, but I will say I find that fishy that in all of these situations, right away they're prosecuting our people. Right away. So you telling me when they were stealing that money for autism for those kids, y'all had to wait till they got to $450 million before you started prosecuting them? But you knew right away with this brother, he's fraud. Now all of a sudden you know right away when it comes to us. So that should also tell you another thing too, that everybody else can steal.
Watching us like a hawk.
Everybody else in the store can steal. You just better not slip nothing in your pocket. And that's the part for me that I feel like, especially when we start talking about a time where this administration is cutting off dollars to our community, cutting jobs away from our community, the one thing that we can't start doing inside of our community, because we have an attorney general who we think was a part of our community, we can't start doing that to our own community, because once we start doing that to try to prove that we are exceptional Negroes, what happens is the mistrust happens across the board. And when we start going to the community, I'm talking about as a community leader, when I go out there and I say, y'all need to vote in this midterm so we can get some stuff, our people won't listen to us because they'll say, hey, you probably stole some money too.
So let me get this in. I'm going to let Rashi get in. Because Rashi, I'm gonna need your help with defining a word. I'm confused by this word. What do you think Keith would say? Would you think Keith's position would be, hey, the allegations were brought to me. The best way to wash this thing is to go through the process. That way the question about the thing can never come up again. So I think it's best in everybody's interest to go through the actual process to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that these things are or are not happening, and then we can shut them down. Or do you think he would say, "Hey, man, I'm just doing my job"? What you think, Thomas?
Uh,
Sorry about that. I was like, who's you asking? Sorry.
he was asking you, Rashi, and then because you was silent, he was asking me to answer the
I
question.
was worried. I was worried about the word. He said he needed a word definition. I had queued up Webster's and Oxford Black trying to figure out what the word was. I was. I didn't. Um, when we talk about money appropriation, I always gravitate to the defense fund. Like I don't care what we're doing out here. The defense fund is ridiculous. And for us to have, and I'm sorry, Brother Lee, because I know you are a vestige of that fund, and you deserve your coins because you laid your life on the line, whether
Thank you
you
very
gave it
much.
or not. You laid it on out there. You got as many of them Korean girls. Anyway, so
She
no,
is
never
so
mind.
on the wrong
I'm sorry.
continent.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
did
sorry.
nothing in
I
Korea.
know. I know. I'm
Now,
sorry.
if you go back to Europe, now that's a different damn story. Shit. That's
But
why
okay,
I've only
so
been
when
to
we
Oxford
arguing
twice.
about, I feel like we arguing about the crumbs of a pie.
Yes.
And as much as I want to be hard set against them crumbs, I'm like, there. These crumbs fell from an entire fucking cake, right? Like a glazed double pound cake, and we are arguing over the crumbs in the pan from that, from some financial misappropriation, which is an American as the American Constitution. In fact, America is built on this theory that there was some financial misappropriation happening in England,
Mm,
right? And that we was paying into for something that we wasn't getting. And lo and behold, Brother Barry, look, here we are again paying into something that we not getting.
mm-hmm.
And so it's the money laundering scam in this country. I almost get mad at us for even saying something about it. Shut up talking about it. Because it's what we do. Three card Monty is the American way, man. Look over there while I shuffle these fucking cups. And when you look up, okay, or I flip the card over. Nope, sorry, try again.
Right.
Nope, sorry, try again is the American way. Like we get people like that every day. We
Yeah.
steal from other countries. We steal from poor people. Believe it or not, we be getting them rich folks too, but we wait till they die and they don't appropriate their money right for their kids. So we finna get some of Ted Turner's motherfucking money with his dead decrepit ass. So what I'm saying is I don't get mad about money games because I know America is a money game. So if you keep shuffling, so shuffle on, boo. Shit, shuffle, cause I want to shuffle to. Hell, I like it, Thomas. Why? Show me how to shuffle that shit.
Mm.
Tell me how to cause how do you learn? I'm telling you, how do you learn? You learn by either watching and observing, or you gotta create a system and then rebuild it over and over again based on experimental behavior where you have to shell it according to. I'd like to just watch motherfuckers steal and figure out how they did it, and then when the time come, black people, let's get to stealing too. Shit, what the hell we doing? They don't care. Why we care? If they don't care, leave. Why we care? They don't care. You think them Somalis got anything like this? Is not them Somalis ain't got shit as far like think of the money AmeriCorps done got. Think of the money that the peace, what they call it, the one where the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
Okay, think and they'll never talk about taking that money away because they need the missionaries to go over there and spy on them third world countries that they finna overturn.
Mm.
We don't give a damn about no Somali money or nothing, none of that other money. Let me tell you, until we get it with our defense fund, brothers, that defense fund is so bloated and pregnant and unsubstantiated, globally unsubstantiated. It's some dusty missiles somewhere because we held them there indefinitely. Dusty missile. In fact, we got to swap them out, Lee, because they become radioactive. You hear me? They sell them, they set there. We got to decommission them and then see if we can get the Chinamans to build us some more stuck up in there. Because all our ammunitions factories is damn near done. Come on. Who doing?
Mm.
We got we less than a handful full of national munitions factories. And the sad part is they full of Proud Boys who work in munitions, Proud Boys, and the motherfucking them scary white dudes with the Ray-Ban glasses.
Mm-hmm.
The Ray-Ban
You
glass.
know what I'm talking about with the
I
rainbow
do.
Ray,
I do.
with
Sadly, I do.
the wrap around Ray-Bans. That's who work in there. So not even us, brother Barry. I can't get my son no munitions.
Right.
Fucking. They don't do it like the AFL, not the AFL. See out with the S. Who the workmen, the carpenter people. You can't unionize in that like you can do the carpentry and all that other shit. It's damn near a one man's they it's a closed so I'm not worried about it. When y'all have a discussion over all this money we spending on military shit, holler at a player because I've been looking. And I
Mm.
said, how? How? And these people still killing themselves and dying and they still how? How?
Yeah.
How do you justify a military budget like that when you having recruitment issues? That mean niggas ain't coming, right? If you begging an old man to get out of his Barker lounger at the age of 40 and come in and have him rockabilly his ass up in there, that means you don't have nobody. And if you don't have nobody, then what you need all this damn money for?
Mm.
So Thomas, what do you think? How do you think Keith would defend his position in all this?
Well, Keith is going to say it's going to be two positions. The political position is that the Dems feel like they've got hit where they were soft on fraud. So you got to slay your own people to prove that you're not. And that's one thing. That's old Negro thing though. In America, we always have to be hard on each other so that the white man don't feel like we soft, boss. And then the other aspect is he's going to tell the other public that fraud will not be accepted inside of this state. What I would say to everybody though, and I'll say it again, that money, and Rashi's right, crumbs on the table. And it's not a lot. It's a lot to us when you don't have it, right? It's a lot when you don't have it. But I will say that I am careful on saying that people are guilty about things because it's in the newspaper or because the attorney general has put charges forth. Because there's things that people have done to people in our community that the attorney general has done nothing about. How about the doctors who were giving false information about families that were having thousands of children removed by child protection services, and there was proof that they were falsifying for paybacks? Where's that lawsuit at? The state of Minnesota. They don't have it. As a matter of fact, I went to a hearing where there was a news story about 3 doctors who were giving false information. And guess who's still paying those doctors to be experts for the state? The state of Minnesota.
So
State of Minnesota. And this doctor was proven to be giving false information to have children removed. Now, let me show you how this story works. Channel 9 does a story about him giving this false information. Our community, we don't know nothing about that. But your cousin and your family get her kid removed.
well, Keith just say something once. Man, I heard.
Y'all know how this go. y'all know how they go. And these people are getting paid millions of dollars to remove black children and give misdiagnosis to say parents are abusing their children when the children have diagnosis. And I would just say, I talked to Trey because his son Xavier X was friends with my son Rondé, and X committed suicide. That family has gone through a lot, and there may be things that he may have not did right. I'm not saying that. I want to make sure I say that clearly, but I want to point out to y'all the tenor and how we go about dealing with each other compared to how other communities go about dealing with each other. I'll give y'all another quick story, and then we can move on. During Operation Surge, they busted a Hmong couple who had meth and a lot of other drugs in their car. Believe you me, Rashi and Lee, that couple, they also own a drug rehab facility. You didn't see the Hmong community talking about them online. You see the difference?
Stop.
Okay.
They had drugs in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But they also owned and operated a drug rehab facility.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. Keep going.
But you didn't see that conversation from the Hmong community saying what? This is what they doing to us. So I look at it from the vantage point of they know how to feed us red meat about us because we already don't trust each other. They know that's all they have to do. But at the same time, y'all, let me explain this to y'all. An election is coming up. If we show up to the polls, maybe Amy Klobuchar does not become the next governor of Minnesota. You know why? Because her locking up Myron Burrell for all those years and other brothers, she can't become governor if black folks, especially if black men, show up to the polls. But if you put distrust in black leadership, because this is a slow drip, I can almost guarantee you dollars to donuts. Next week is going to be another black organization. And the week after that is going to be another black organization. And they're just going to slow drip these black organizations throughout the weeks. Why? Because just like the Republicans, and remember, this is a predominantly Democratic ran state. Just like the Republicans, they don't want us at the polls neither, because if we go to the polls, maybe we elect people that they don't want in office. And that's the part that I'm trying to get us to see. This is all about everybody they would rather us not show up. And if you can put doubt into what's the name, and no, it's not about a Republican winner. You got to keep in mind, brother, there's primaries going on today. There's a primary going on right now as we speak in St. Louis Park. And Latanya Reeves, who I interviewed last week, and I'm going to interview Dr. Madison on Monday. But Latanya Reeves, who I interviewed, she's going up against Ilhan Omar. Well, guess who you think Keith them want to win? They want Ilhan. They want Ilhan to win. That's whose side they're on. They don't want a Latanya Reeves to win because man, Ilhan wasn't even supposed to be. Bobby Joe Champion technically was supposed to be the U.S. congressional. He had the time in. He spent the time in. Keith chose Johan. And I'm gonna say that again. Keith chose Johan. And not only did Keith choose Johan, remember this stuff that was going on with the Somalis. Who did the Somalis go to? They went to Keith. Why? Because they're all Muslim. And you got to understand, people love to come off as the mad genius. I birthed something, whatever. Keith gave her the seat, but that seat he was supposed to get a Bobby Joe. Keep that in mind, y'all. That's like the normal protocol. If not, Bobby Joe could have went over to Jeff Hayden because they were already elected officials and they were doing their time. And both of those brothers could have held down that district and no seats. So, no, he picked his horse a long time ago. And his horse was not in our community. And if you think I'm lying, his son was right there inside of North Minneapolis as a city council member. How'd that go for the black folks over there? What was his son doing? What was Jeremiah doing for y'all? Nothing. That's just plain tax. And I like Keith. I got respect for Keith. But when it comes to our people, we can't let people come for our people. That's just like if it's one of us or somebody else, we got to be able to say, hey, you doing this during an election cycle? If you felt like them brothers did something, then why are you slow dripping these stories? If y'all got all of these lawsuits against all these organizations, why didn't you just drop it all in one story? Why are you slow dripping it? You know why you're slow dripping it. You're slow dripping it because you want these white folks to feel like you're tough on black people. That's what you're doing. Don't tell me it's not political. Don't tell me it's not that. Like, we can't keep on acting like we're fools to what these people are doing. And if we can't call Keith into North Minneapolis on the carpet to have a conversation with community, then why is Keith in there representing us in the first place?
So, for those of us that don't live in Minnesota, who is Keith? Because we've dropped this name a lot, and I know who Keith is, but who's Keith?
Keith Ellison, who was our Attorney General, who is the former United States congressional member of the I think this the fifth, I could be wrong, fifth district, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So I just wanted people to know. I know who Keith is, but we dropping Keith's name a lot. Like, people, who the hell is Keith?
Yeah, my bad. I'm almost talking to Jamar and everybody else, and I apologize out there, but I have to say this, and of course, I
I
am.
was like, what did Keith Lee do now?
Oh man, listen,
You know what I'm saying?
bad fool review, but but I do want to, but I do want to say this, and this ties to what we're seeing on a national level, because I do fear. I've heard people saying that we're reverting back to Jim Crow. And I want to say this to us. The one thing I have not seen is that if we're reverting back to Jim Crow, 4,000 black bodies died during Jim Crow from lynchings, hangings, and assassinations. If you think these people changed because they wanted to change and not because the laws that were on the books, when they start repealing these laws, hunting season begins on black bodies. And ain't nobody said 5 words about it. When they did the redistricting in Tennessee, also throughout the state, they reworked their stand your ground law, giving people a broader net.
So you transition to that, and that's fine, because that obviously a part of the show today. So I don't know what state at this point is not involved in some form, fashion of redistricting. It's obviously a huge push in the South. That to speak to your point, Tennessee just made a push to redistrict its only black majority district in the state. Redistrict the majority of black folks out of that district. What I want folks to understand, just like we talked about last week, all politics are local. If you sit your ass in the house during the all non-presidential election, this is the shit that you get. Because people will walk in, take seat, get a hold, and not leave. Once they're in, they get a taste of that power, they get a taste of that position. They ain't trying to leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they they will make sure that their cronies are taken care of as well. So what we're doing is fighting a fight that we should not be fighting. But because folks sat on their hands, didn't vote, and let's pay attention, y'all. The war on drugs, the war on crime, is all war on black folks. They just couldn't say black folks; they had to use a different name on it, right? So they want to hit you over the head with something on your record so you can't vote. They want to make voting so difficult in certain places that you don't want to vote. That's why I said last week, man, it's important for you to go out even when it's raining, even when it's cold, even when it's hot. Get your ass out there and vote. Literally, people died for this opportunity. Your ass can be inconvenienced for 20 minutes in order to vote. You ain't dying. You might be wet, you might be cold, you might be hot, but you ain't dying.
Right.
Respect those folks who came before you enough to exercise your right. Next, the Virginia case, got my notes, I'll go to my notes in half a second, was voted on by the people. The Supreme Court of Virginia, the state of Virginia, struck it down, stating that because voting had already started for the General Assembly, the law was non unjust because I believe 1.3 million Virginians. Yep, damn, I was right. I remember my notes. 1.3 million Virginians were unable to participate in the process to pick their representative. The Democrats are going to take it to the Supreme Court. Don't know what the hell that's going to look like. Doubt if it gains any legs. Because of the Supreme Court decision last week, this decision this week, uh, it is going to be chaos at the polls. But that doesn't mean that you cannot vote for nor elect the person that you want to vote for and elect. It just makes it more difficult, right? It just means that every vote that you have may be counteracted by a vote that they have. Maybe counteracted by a vote they have. The question in this election is really going to be where the independents break and where the Latinos break. That's going to be the question.
Oh, we in trouble.
Thus far, way more often than not, the independents and the Latinos have broken for the Democratic Party.
I was going to say,
Which,
I will vote for Donald Trump.
yes, yeah. Um, so this is looking like really a question for the people about what the people really want, regardless of party. This midterm and the presidential election, I think, are really going to define the American voting system and the premise or the concept of party voting. To be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? Because again, this gives folks the opportunity to vote for whomever they want. So just because those lines were redrawn does not mean that the person who was drawn to the lower side does not
Who?
have the opportunity to win. It really is about turnout and it's about being about that business. This ain't no sitting at home. You just chilling. Well, they gonna pick whoever they want. No, you gotta get your ass out there and you have to actuate your choice. Go ahead, Rashi. I'm sorry.
I was sitting here trying to figure out who we gonna throw out this demon so he don't come back for that third term. But I don't think we don't have no. It ain't no other person. Do we have somebody else dangling for the for? Oh, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. Okay, never mind.
I was
Well,
so
go
I,
ahead, go ahead, Tommy.
I want us to be careful when we talk about the polls because they are issuing a new style of poll tax. Once again, going back to Jim Crow. They're also outside of issuing poll tax, purging Black, Latino, and Asian voters from rolls, going
Yep.
back to Jim Crow. Another thing, the places that you are told that you have to vote, the lines are a lot longer. And as you've seen what happened in Texas, they can say, even though they have given you an inadequate place to vote, and they knew that there's going to be more people than machines in our community compared to the white communities that's air conditioned. You get in and you get out quick to get your vote for the Republicans. That won't happen. And I'll say it again. I preference this by saying because we love to jump on each other and say what we are not doing. We have to also look at the fact that they are rigging it for things to not go a certain way. What happened in Louisiana, keep in mind that that brother won his seat. inside of Louisiana, inside of the parish, inside of New Orleans. But they decided to overturn his vote because he had won. And the people showed up. And what happens is that makes the people feel like they vote don't count. And I feel like that's something that we have to, when we have this dialogue about us showing up to the poll, which I still think we should still show up. I think that we should pack it even more. I think as long as we can vote early, we should vote early as well. I think community leadership should hold forums to where we show people how to vote early, where we invite people down to vote early if they have questions about early voting. And let's get these ballots in. Because to me, that's really what we have to do. We have to vote more than we go to AAU games. We have to vote more than we go to dance recitals. Fuck it, we got to vote more than we go on vacation. Like this is
And
this
party.
and party. Like this is a now or never. This is like, yo, we need grown people to really be grown. And, and I
So
and I say that respectfully because we almost had a hospital shut down here, y'all. They had to vote to keep the main hospital, Hennepin County, open because of all the cuts from the federal government. Minneapolis was about to be without its main hospital.
so to your point, bro, Rashi, everybody watching, listening, whatever. We I'm not against having a good time by no stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But we out here partying like this shit ain't real outside. We out here partying like these motherfuckers are really not trying to move us back. To your point, Tom, it's Jim Crow era shit. We out here partying like the money gonna last forever. Yo, what you making? I'm not talking about your salary rate. I'm actually talking about what are you making that can be sold? How do you control that process from beginning to end without it being interrupted by what they or them, shout out to you, Marlon, earlier, do? You control the raw materials for that process. You control the electricity company that's providing you electricity for that process. You control the building permitting people to give you permits for that process. Yo, the fuck is you talking about right now? For real. What is you talking about? But we out here partying like shit ain't real outside. For acting like shit ain't real. Like, nah, we gonna be all right.
I'm gonna get them J's tomorrow. I'm gonna get them
This
J's
is this
tomorrow.
is not we gonna be all right, Tom. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Thomas?
I'm gonna get them J's tomorrow, man.
You know
That
what I'm saying?
Jordan.
Motherfuckers out here just, yo, and look, I tell people all the time, I'm partially guilty in this, right? I put my money in a whole lot of places. I really do. I really do. I put it in places and with people doing some great things. But I also put my money back into the fucking system.
Mhm.
Because every now and again, after working like a Hebrew slave, I want to reward myself.
Facts.
I ordered some food this morning, black owned business. But I ordered some food this morning. I waited for these mofos to open up. It's about an hour away from where I am right now. That food is so damn good. I'm never going to turn it down if I can get it, and I ain't turning it down. But I got to go out there. I have to go and get in a car that I rented, not owned by a black person. I got to put some gas in it eventually from a gas station, not owned by a black person. I ain't gotta pay no tolls, thank God. But there's a whole lot of other things that I'm going to do that we have no control over. But again, dog, it's fest this, it's festival that. Not against having a good time. But when are we going to get that investment festival that's free to the public?
Mm.
$10 to the public, $20 to the public.
Mm.
When are we going to get that life insurance festival? When was the last time you had a conversation with your friends
Mm.
about life insurance?
This week.
When was the last time you had a conversation with your friends about health insurance? Are you advocating that they go out and get their yearly checkups? We know the sisters do it. What about we brothers? I work with nothing but men. The vast majority of them are black men. I said to them just the other day, hey, dog, life is short. We work for a company that provides us with health insurance, and it's good health insurance. Make sure you take your ass out here to get checked. Make sure you're taking your ass out here to get your teeth cleaned twice a year. It's free. Make sure you get out here to get your health screenings. This thing is short. Don't play with the time you got.
Facts.
I'm sitting in a room with young black men and I'm telling them that. When was the last time you had those conversations? When was the last time you and your friends sat around and said, hey man, when's the last time you looked at your 401k? What you doing with that? Hey, when was the last time you increased your your withdrawal to go into it? What's your health? What's your life insurance look like? What you got? You got whole? You got term? Who you with? You got an additional ADD plan? Who you get it through? Like man, my credit union offers it to me. It's $2. It's $2. $20,000 is free. Anything above that, I pay $2 for. You might want to get on top of that, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time we had these conversations? There you go.
But let's be fair.
Universal index life, absolutely.
But let's be fair to our community. The conversation is not there because the people who should be having that conversation with these young folks have not been passing on the access for upward mobility to these young folks. And that's just the facts. Things that were given to us free, we want to charge the people coming behind us to get the information because we're thinking that's the way to do it versus having a plan for all of us to rise.
Right.
You know, a lot of this, when we talk about what's going on the election side of it, and even our health, mental health, physical health, etc. When you are not in positions where you're overly stressed, you can think clearer and you can make better decisions. But if you're always inundated, which a lot of young black folks are, which a lot of poor black people are, overly inundated, it allows you to be confused and the vision is blurry of what you need to do to sustain. So you're in survival mode. And we have to get ourselves out of that gear. We have to get out of it because survival mode makes you burn out faster.
Yep.
We need to get out of survival mode. But in this moment right now, unfortunately, collectively, enough of us are not in survival mode. And I want to say that we're not. Because, a lot of it for what's going on in this country, black wealth has been snatched away. And we're not talking about that enough. We're not talking about what happened over there in the DMV area when a lot of these black folks have lost these government jobs.
Good government job.
Man, great government jobs.
About to lose their houses.
About to lose their
About to
house
lose them Lexus. About to lose them Teslas.
and
They losing it.
might have to go in debt because they can't send their babies to the schools that they went to because that was the plan. And let's keep in mind, while they made DEI a dirty word, what did one of the federal courts just rule on yesterday? Well, they used DEI to decide who they weren't going to give grants to. They went off of race. They went off of gender. They went off sexual orientation to decide who they weren't. So don't let this government tell you one thing. Don't let Elon Musk tell you another thing. And then you see that race does matter. Because if it didn't, why did they go by race to cut grants, cut loans, cut jobs, etc.? And I just want to say this to us. At some point, y'all, we gonna have to show some unification. Sometimes sometimes you gotta show it. And I know a lot of people was upset with me over the past few weeks about the whole mental health. A lot of sisters, I got unfriended by a lot of sisters, and I will tell you, I'm okay with it. Because the one thing that I refuse to do is to broad brush y'all on anything. We have to be smart on broad brushing each other in times like this. I cannot know that these folks are starching up their robes and their hoods. Y'all think that these folks changed. The laws changed them.
Mm.
The laws
So
changed. Trust me. When they pull this onion back and they undo these laws that told them that it's not okay to shoot black folks because they're looking at you in the face, when they pull back these laws and they allow them to discriminate on where you can live, I want to see how that magic works without black men around. The same black men that y'all ushering to the therapist so that he can be docile when he don't want to pick up a gun or lift his fist up to fight. When you try to ask that question, why he don't want to fight no more, why is he so docile? Then you'll understand what I'm saying. But at that point, the enemy's already inside of the gate. The warrior is now a gentleman. He don't want to fight no more. He don't want to work no more. He don't want to build no more. You need that edge. We just need the edge pointed in the right direction.
so you spoke on the laws. There's two things going on behind the scenes. I need you all to be aware of this. Thing number one, there's a push now for guns to be able to be shipped through the United States Postal Service. Yes, the
Oh, that's
years and years and years, guns have been unlawful to go through the United States Postal Service. You had to ship them through UPS or FedEx. Now, this new administration wants them to be able to be shipped through the Postal Service. Another thing, they also are looking to push and allow sales at gun shows without a background check. I need you all to understand, to your point, Thomas, folk domicile, unwilling to pick up a gun. Bring a knife to a gunfight if you want to. See who gonna live. It's not smart. I'm not saying you got to go out here and be Ram bro or Ram sis, but you need to go out here and learn how to protect and defend yourself and your family, regardless. You need to go out here and learn how to protect yourself and your family, regardless. Yet, I haven't seen a huge run on weapons as of yet, though. A site that I tend to look at and go shopping on, which I've not been shopping. I want a smaller AK. I want something very much smaller. But anyhow, I've not been able to find anything on their site for a while, but it's coming. There's going to be a large run on guns and ammunition in the very near future, especially if this election turns into a blue bath. If this election turns into a blue tsunami, there's going to be a run on guns and ammo because the special people will fear that the Democrats are coming for everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean them, and specifically their guns, as they normally do. So, again, it is definitely a good time to get familiar, like, even if it's just a shotgun. Something is better than nothing. Because if problems come at to your door, you need to be ready for those problems, regardless. Rashi, this is where I need you. No, no, you know what? Hold on one second. Stand down for a second. Going back to the laws. My man, Chief Justice Roberts, on Wednesday was in Hershey, Pennsylvania, giving a speech. In his speech, he was saying how he feels that, and I'm surmising, I'm not reading from my notes, I'm surmising. I'll get to my notes in a half a second because I don't want to misquote him. The summation is he was talking about how most Americans think that he and the fellow justices are political actors, not those whom are making decisions based on the law. His exact quote: I think at a basic level, people think we're making policy decisions. We're saying we think this is what things should be, as opposed to this is what the law provides. I think they view us as I think they view us as truly political actors, which I don't think is an accurate understanding of what we do. I would say that's the main difficulty. One of the things that we have to do is issue decisions that are unpopular. Those are rulings based on our best effort to figure out what the Constitution means and how it applies. Now, when you talk about your best efforts to figure out what the Constitution means, you can go either way with that. You could go the way that you're seeing the American public move with it, or you can go your own way, Judge Roberts. Judge Roberts, you're going your own fucking way. Stop the bullshit. You are a political actor. You are. It's not hard. It's clear as fucking day. So take that, shove that shit someplace where people believe it, and keep it moving. Because that's bullshit that you just said, without a doubt. Roe v. Wade. Who wanted Roe v. Wade? Who wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade? I'm sorry. Most Americans did not want to overturn Roe v. Wade. Not at all.
Right.
You could have left the opinion that has stood for 40 plus years the same as it was before you took it up. You could have rejected the notion to hear a difference of opinion. You chose not to. So, again, please tell me how you're not a political actor in that instance. You are very much behaving like a political actor in that instance. You are not interpreting the law. The law was already interpreted. You could have just chosen not to hear the case. You chose to. Why? For fucking political reasons. Ain't nobody stupid, dog. Nobody's stupid. With with all that going on, though, I'm not getting stuck there because I'm pissed. I'm not going to get stuck there. Rashi, I'm sorry. I said your name 3, 4 times. I ain't got to you yet. Here it comes. Can you tell me the definition of the word ceasefire? Because I'm confused.
Okay. All right. So, first of all, I want to say that when I first really heard about it, it was with our dear friend. I don't think we've talked to her in a long time. Your friend from our friend from Baltimore, uh, Miss. Oh no,
Jackie? Come on, Jackie?
no, not
Queen
Jackie.
Jackie?
No, she started their ceasefire in Baltimore. She was a part of the ceasefire.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes. I'm trying to get her back
is
on
it
the
is
show.
it E? Is it Eva? It's something like that.
Erica. Yep.
Erica.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, the first time I really heard the notion as actionable within a city boundary, everybody knows just words like war words, ceasefire, right? But an actionable a community plan where you had the idea of anti-gun violence as its main focus, and that you were going to stop, okay, shooting the gun at
Mm.
other people. Right? Okay. So that's the basic, but the idea is it's a negotiations idea. Because, yeah, you can stop firing the weapon and keep doing the damage. So ceasefire is actually it's a it's community based. It's not literally for real between two people. It's an idea of how you negotiate conflict within a group of people, within a group of population. And so the ceasefire in this term, I think what you're talking about is the one that we have abroad, or are we
Yes,
discussing? So yeah,
absolutely. With Iran, because I'm
that's
confused. How the
that's
hell we
not
got a
real.
ceasefire and we keep shooting?
That's
Yeah.
not real.
How we got a
That's actually
ceasefire?
never. That's not real. And it reminds me of not just the
Hey, dog.
Hatfields. It's like the Hatfields and the McCoys. It's like the Montagues and the the Capulets and the. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. You have to
Yeah,
know your feuds. Because it's a whole Coca-Cola Pepsi situation. And so, well, yeah, so shots are gonna be fired. But look, if we never pull one other trigger, they still gonna keep shooting over there. They
right.
fighting over real estate amongst a congested amount of people. So, and then we got some people with a fake,
No,
with what they would, they call it. It's not real. That's what they calling it in the streets. It's not real, and its
I'm,
influence on everybody in that region. So, yeah, no, ceasefire is in its basic sense a negotiation tactic that people are refusing to use because there is very little I think it's power in compromise, Brother Barry. But people find there is no power in compromise. And I don't really understand that.
Well, I will tell you, I think in this case, the ceasefire situation is the reason why the war keeps happening. Because every time they say they're stopping, somebody is dropping more bombs, and the rhetoric gets worse. And you have to have people who are willing. And the fact of the matter is, Israel is not willing. And that's what this boils down to. This
yeah,
is what happens when you have a president that's compromised, who's compromised the country. And, I'll say it again, it's not going to stop until the midterms if the voting turns out. But that's why they're trying to stop the voting from turning out. But we have a large portion of this country, not the majority of this country, but we have enough people in this country who will also acquiesce with this government to make sure that people don't turn out to the polls. They don't
mhm,
need 100%. They don't need 55%. They're hoping for that 20% that they got to help obstruct, to help come out and troll online, to help, discombobulate meetings. That's what they're going for. And unfortunately, I'll ask again, where's Project 2029 from the Democrats? Where's the conversation about what are you going to do once you get in power to make people want to go vote for you to get back in power? Where's that conversation at? Who is the candidate? You asked Rashi for president, who's saying, hey, flat out, hey, if I get in, we're expanding the Supreme Court. If I get in, we're putting term limits on Congress. If I get in, we're putting term limits on the Supreme Court. If I get in, we are impeaching justices. If I get in, no, you can't apologize your way out of this Pete Hegseth. And I don't give a goddamn what Donald Trump do. Whatever he does, we're undoing. That has to be it. No, maybe you can be pardoned, but I will turn your ass over to the UN so you can serve war crimes. I will use the
hey,
FBI,
yeah,
the Secret Service, whatever, the CIA, the DEA, the ATF, whatever I got to use, like you use ICE, to hunt your ass down. Any ill-gotten gains that you've gotten under this president will be given back to the American people from his family and anybody else who. Where is that playbook at? Where's it at? Like, that's the part for me where like I said again, motivating people to get to the poll because the ceasefire is not working. But here's a scary part. If you don't say from your end, hey, he's not doing what he's supposed to do with these ceasefires, uh, you know, the problem is going to be consistently the other countries are going to say, well, what does that mean when the Democrats get in charge? Are they going to go by what he did, or are they going to walk back all of these things? Because the standing for us around the country the world is in bad shape because people really don't know what are the Dems going to do when they get in. They're not saying nothing. You can't come in and say, it's really bad for the Iranians to get nuclear weapons. I'll explain this to y'all one more again. For anybody want to know the one more game. They said that about the North Koreans. North Koreans got their nuclear weapon. Have they used it? Have they threatened to use it? But you know what it stops people from doing? Talking about they running up in where? North Korea. So
That's correct.
the thing that American people need to be able to equip their minds with is like, wait a minute, hold on a second. So you're saying if you get one of these, that's gonna stop them from running up on you because we seen when Hussein showed he didn't have them, they ran up in there. When Libya said that they didn't have them, they ran up in there. The Iranians don't have them, so they ran up in there. So not having them will have them run up on you. Getting them will make them back up off of you. Why do you think people want them then? Why do you think India wanted them? Why do you think Pakistan wanted them? To stop what? Oh, when the Indians got theirs and the Pakistanians got theirs, guess what happened? They stopped shooting at each other because now shit just got real. Now we need to go to the table and negotiate and have a conversation because you got a big dog and I got a big dog, and both our dogs can bite everybody on both sides of the borders. Let's talk it out. That's what this boils down to. And that's the conversation that we should be putting on the press. I hate watching Sister Abby Phillips' show. I like looking at Abby. She's fine and she's smart. But when I listen to the conversation on her show, I'm like, where's the common sense in the dialogue? Where's the common sense? There's no common sense. There is no political historical facts that's being said. These are all conversations that are based off of pretty much supported by these foundations who have, as Rashi was talking about, the war machine. They're making money off the war machine. So it's propaganda that they keep feeding the American public over and over again. So Lee, the ceasefire is not really a ceasefire. It only works when you hear both sides negotiate that it's a ceasefire. When Donald Trump says it's a ceasefire, I don't think the Iranians or the Israelis know that it's a ceasefire. I think that's
Not
just
when the Israelis are still attacking Lebanon.
man. Listen, that's the main point that I feel like I I I I think that some of the right wingers like Tucker Carlson and others, they're starting to get it. They're starting to understand what this is here.
I'm
But
intrigued by Tucker.
you are?
Yes.
I'm not. Tucker is a true Pat Buchanan disciple, going back to their days from Crossfire on CNN, which was original debate show before Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless. Crossfire was on CNN. It was Pat Buchanan. It was Tucker Carlson, and I forgot the other older white guy. They were all conservatives for the most part. But keep in mind, Pat Buchanan would have the exact
Was
same.
it Rush Limbaugh?
No, it wasn't Rush Limbaugh. It was an older white guy who kind of looked like Paul Heyman a little bit, but I forgot his name. He wasn't.
O'Reilly, Bill O'Reilly.
No. This is long before those guys. This is long before Fox News was even thought of. But it was a CNN. But these guys would sit and talk politics. But Pat Buchanan, the reason why I say that, Lee, Pat Buchanan would have the same take on. They're nationalists, and American white nationalists do not believe in sparing or supporting Israel. They do not believe in sparing other countries. They believe in focusing on the things that are happening here in America. And so that's why I say he's like a Pat Buchanan type, because he's a nationalist. He's a white nationalist. And sometimes it could come across like he cares about everybody here, because he learned from Lee Atwater. Lee, what Lee Atwater say? Y'all can't be going around just calling them niggers. That ain't gonna work. So he knows not to call us niggers and coons and things of that nature. He knows how to talk the right way, right? He knows not to do the Charlie Kirk thing.
That's right. We urbanites. Tell them.
No, I don't want to joke about it because I think we fall for that with white folks a lot. Like, they know how to talk to us. As I was saying to my sister Latanya Reeves the other night, white folks on the right, as well as black conservatives, use black nationalist talking points all the time to make their points. And that's something that we have to be aware of. They will quote Malcolm X to get us on their side. They will quote Booker T. Washington to get us on their side. They will quote Marcus Garvey. They have no problems with quoting that. They're not. That's not a thing to them. But I say that to say, Tucker is a grifter too, though, Lee. He's a grifter.
Oh yeah. So it was that true with Erica Kirk and the black boyfriend? Was that true? I saw an article about that the other day
I wouldn't be shocked. She's an
at the
actress.
White House Correspondents' Dinner.
I don't
Did you
know
see
about.
something about that?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's probably satire, but I mean that'd be interesting.
Wouldn't it? All right, so we're not getting stuck on that. Yeah, Tucker is a grifter. Absolutely. He seems to have changed the tune though. So it's him, Candace Owens. I'm just watching these folks, and I'm like, y'all the same motherfuckers about a year and a half ago. Y'all were all on the Trump bandwagon. What happened?
The money,
You found out what everybody was telling you was true?
the money.
Like, I don't get it. I mean, we've seen this dude in action before. Remember, he was the president before. He didn't do shit. He didn't do shit. I'm sorry. He threw some paper towels at the Puerto Ricans after the fucking um, hurricane came through. He did that. He was very disrespectful about that. When COVID came around, he was totally in denial about COVID. He did that.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands of people died because he was just horrible at his job. So
Mm-hmm.
that happened. He talked about a wall, never built it. He did that. Trying to understand where you all thought that things were going to change because he had a second opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's still invoking the fact that he may never leave office. There will be a third Trump term.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that these folks are being pulled from Germany?
Mm-hmm.
5,000 American troops being pulled from Germany. Where the hell are they going to go? Please tell me where they're going to go. They're
Mm-hmm.
not going to Asia. They're not going to Africa. Though we are getting and building a bigger and bigger presence in Africa, they're all not going to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Some may go to Asia. The majority of them are coming home. To do what? There's no mission in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
Or is there? Hmm. Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you, Marlon, was out just the other day. I live in Georgia. So she gave a speech just the other day and she apologized basically for helping Trump come in office.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking specifically about the Epstein files. She was saying how she was pushing to get this released. She was pushing to get it released. She got resistance. She did the unthinkable. She went over, put her name on the petition to force a vote on the floor. She got a call from the president. He told her, you got to take your name off the roll. Got to take your name off the list. A lot of my friends are going to get hurt if these things come out. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Democratic hoax.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no. Young women have been violated, and I want to see what's going on. These are her words, summation. And that's when she fell out of favor because she didn't take her name out of off the roll to force the vote on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that this guy showed us from the last time that made us believe that he was going to do different this time?
Mm-hmm.
What is it in this guy that you all see as a need for the country? What is it? I'm confused. I don't understand. And yet here we are, nearly 2 years in, and we are all struggling,
Mm-hmm.
except for except for the ultra rich. They're doing quite well. How is that possible? How is that possible that everybody is struggling except for these 10 people? I'm using 10 as just a. How does that work? Are they not trying to position us to where we will go out into the streets and misbehave because they are doing so well and we are struggling? We being the normal average American populace, they being the folks who are at the top, whom have very, very little um, shits or care very, very little shits about those of us that are not one of them. And I say that because that's how they behave. When the media is being challenged as being relevant, when, to your point, Thomas, you're fighting to get the a hospital to stay open because funds have been cut for that. When everything, and I mean everything, that we have deemed normal as a country has been upended, seemingly just at the pleasure of this president and or the administration. That's a problem.
Mhm.
We can have conversations about things needing to be taken back or adjusted, or maybe we should not um, put so much emphasis in the international community that we've had. We can have that conversation. That's what governing is about. Bringing to the people your ideas and your ideals and getting their buy-in. That's what governing is about. We haven't had that. We've had heavy-handedness. We've had, this is what we're going to do, and I don't give a damn what you all think about it. If you support it or not, we're just going to go in that direction. Okay? That's not how our country is set up. But what we've learned in all of this is just how fragile our system is. What we've learned in all of this is just how easy it is when the stars are aligned, when the pieces are all set to the same side, to get away with bloody murder. Not figuratively, but I'm sorry, not literally, but figuratively. That's what we've learned. What we've learned too is how others have really restrained themselves from doing this. And they should be commended. Even Bush, one and two.
Mhm.
They
So,
should be commended. The question is, what have we learned?
well, you can't learn.
Will we do it again?
Well, you can't learn. You can't learn as long as you're going to take your news cycle and put them out there with political operatives who are hired by foundations who are not actually journalists. Because you don't, journalists typically can tell you an unbiased opinion. Our news is littered with biased opinion. First and foremost, shouting at each other, almost like ESPN, and you see how ineffective that is with sports. How that embrace debate type situation works. Secondly, you know, the quote the great Dave Chappelle. You know what their problem is with Trump at this point, Lee? The
What's
Candace
that?
Owens, the Tucker Carlsons, and also the Marjorie Taylor Greens. They
What's
was
that?
in on the heist, but they don't like they cut. The cut ain't good enough for them. And so now they want to yell because they don't like their cut. There's no mistaking that this was a white supremacist slant that was going with Trump. It started with Barack Obama when he was coming down those escalators talking about Obama, the Tea Party, the whole nine. We knew that these were white supremacists. Also, everything he's done with the FBI, everything he's done with the military, everything he's done with school, all of these were out of the white supremacist playbook. So to me, for anyone to come back and say that they're shocked, how could you be shocked? For him to call the black reporter a bitch, why are we shocked? Why are we shocked? Remember the guy from The Apprentice, he said that a nigga can't win.
Mm.
I don't want to see no nigga win. Remember, that was a tape. So why does everybody get to play the role of being shocked now? And more importantly, why are we shocked that Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, all of these places are doing what they're doing. I'll tell you something else I found funny today. I was up looking at getting prepared for the show, and I saw these things where people were talking about, oh, well, this guy from Louisiana, he studied African American history, and that's how he helped with Project 2025 to go after black folks. You know who else studied history? Who was also a history teacher? DeSantis in Florida. What were some of the first things that he did? He went after black literature in schools. Why are y'all so shocked? You know, this is the shit that y'all refuse to study when y'all go in schools. Remember, y'all was the black folks was the people on TV who was saying we moved past the civil rights. We moved past slavery. We don't want to see none of these movies. Remember how everybody was so pissed off with 12 Years a Slave? I don't want to see that shit. Will Smith came out with a great movie a few years ago. Remember? It was Snoop and all these other people that was online saying another movie about slavery, another movie about the civil rights. We don't want to hear that shit. Well, guess what? You ain't got to hear it. You get to now witness it.
You get to live it.
Now you get to live it. And I will say this, and I've been this has been a bittersweet week for me, as my son is about to graduate next week from law school. The one thing I thought about my son was 30 years ago where I was at, where he's at today. And I said, man, he would have had a better chance being successful 30 years ago in America than he would have today. And not because he's not able to do it. It's because we didn't stand in the gaps and we didn't fight for the gains that we had 30 years ago to make sure that we added on them. We fell for this bullshit of believing that this guy from a television show could be a president. We fell for the idea that there was a real debate on a good candidate versus a bad candidate for anybody that was standing across from him. Whether it was the Republican primary or it's goddamn Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton, whatever you want to say about either one of those ladies, they would have made a better president than Donald Trump. And when I start hearing people start debating that point, the first thing I keep on asking, so you like shit on a cracker? you want to know if this is tartar for real, huh? That's what that is. You really think shit on a cracker is tartar? That's what you want to debate consistently. So I look at what we've done and how we've allowed this stuff to, because on the international, man, we're toast. Like these people don't like, listen, we don't want to share intelligence information with them.
Nothing.
We don't trust nothing that's coming from them. We really don't want our countries, like countries are kicking out these white supremacist, right-wing extremists. They're voting against these people over in Europe. But we got them right here. We got a Supreme Court that is so right-wing leaning that it's scary. It's scary what the Supreme Court is doing. And I'll ask again, where is the Democrats' 2029 plan? And maybe, here's out to my brothers out there. They want to know what black men can do, and they keep saying that we need to get a therapist. No, brothers, maybe we need to do what we've always done in this country. Maybe we need to create the 2029 plan. Maybe we need to come and say, fuck all that. Y'all tried y'all magic. Y'all sprinkled that pixie dust. That shit don't work. Right? What we're going to do is we're going to put forth the plan like we've always done. Since people say, black men don't do nothing, some of the inventions that they're using came from brothers. We're going to get rid of Clarence Thomas. We taking his black card away. That nigga's out. He's uninvited to all barbecues, picnics, ceremonies, and the whole nine. His ass is out. But what we need to do as a collective, brothers, is that we need to start saying this is what America should look like moving forward. That should be maybe a black male conversation with bring everybody else to the table, but make sure that our voice is at the table, that we are the loudest voice at the table. Because I will say this, the last 10 years, a decade decaying in this country, black men's voice have not been at the table. I want to say that again. The last 10 years of decaying at the table, black men's voice have not been at the table. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not because black men could not be at the table. That in this country, how racism worked was they used Barack Obama as the only black male voice that they needed. And everybody else got canceled out afterwards. Except Van Jones, who keeps fucking crying on TV. But I'll talk about that
What's
later.
that? What's that big dude? The one that what is his name?
Drewski? My boy
Who?
Drewski? Drewski?
Oh no, Drewski funny as shit. Yo, that video you said the other day that it's funny as hell. I'm not talking about Drewski. I'm talking about the conservative dude. Whitelock. Yeah, Whitelock.
Whitlock. Oh,
Whitlock. Yeah,
oh,
Jason Whitlock,
oh,
right?
he's no longer from Indiana neither. You know, stay your ass inside of in Nashville. Whitlock is no longer a Hoosier. He's no longer black. Him and Clarence Thomas, man, fuck both of them. You know, they are they're uninvited. Period.
Yeah, Jason Whitlock terrorized Kansas City for a while, and we had to get his ass up out of here too. He
He
was
know the
too
barbecue.
he was
He know the
too
barbecue.
racist for Kansas City. Okay.
Hey, Rashi, what you got to say?
So what's the 2029 plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
2029 plan is by then we should be rested. As you said, we should be in that voting line. We need to check our money ties. Like we buy a lot of shit that don't mean nothing. Like literally. Our relationship to with the Chinese has then got weird because they get that Temu, them damn Temu and Sheen and Fashion Nova and them, they getting a good portion of our money. I think we should look at African manufacturing, whether or not we're willing to shift everything from our hair to our clothing back to the motherland, because believe it or not, they're capable of handling that. They have started making a lot of strides from different materials that so Africa, in my opinion, has a 2029 plan. It has to do with community and environmental restoration. I think we should hop on that plan. We should definitely be continuing to educate. Yes, 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 precise. We should have clear cut legislation on how we're going to operate that reparations plan. It should not be a theoretical commission like HB 40. It should be action, like we said, it should be something actionable from every industry, from agriculture, health. That all of our economic industries should be on tap with what they're going to do or not do as far as our a reparations plan. Thank you, Logic. And so we should definitely be thinking about, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, having more children. I know you like what?
It don't sound crazy.
Yes, yes. Did I know it sounds crazy,
It doesn't.
but we have to, as black people, fight against the birth dearth happening in this nation. And if we have more children in time, the changes that we're looking to see will have to be rendered. They're guaranteeing, some of the guarantee in this country is that if we can kill enough of them, especially with us being under 20 something percent, that in time their great grandchildren won't have to actually deal with our great grandchildren, and we have to make that a myth. We have to fight against that as much as possible. Black women, you got to go get that. You said it, Lee. Y'all go get yourself checked out. Shoot, if you don't get yourself checked out, they don't know that they don't know, and they get to play with the money anyway. So if they running an insurance scam, get your party in. Okay, go on in there and get it. And
Damn.
so that's my 2029 plan. If we can start using with regularity some of the government programs that we have available, stop all that shame. Yes, if you can't afford your rent, go sign up for Section 8. If you cannot feed your children, go get your food stamps. The money is, if we don't use the money, they don't do nothing but reallocate it to the Department of Defense. So and so make them take care of you. This is what the New Deal and stuff was about. Make your nation take care of you, especially if they gonna finna come and get your son and sign him up for war. And they trying to get your husband to enlist willingly, and then they coming for your son intentionally. You know what I'm saying? So if we're gonna be invested in with our children and our husbands and ourselves, then we need to be getting the benefits of being American citizens.
Well,
Last but not least, they
mhm.
telling us not to travel abroad because of how we look on the international stage. But I'm telling you, travel abroad because if not, you don't have nowhere to go when America blow up.
True that. True that. I was going to say, add to what you were saying. Not only are they trying to get your son to volunteer, they're going for your daughter too. Remember, involuntary um, sign up for the draft is coming up in a year or two. It's going to be automatic, so you don't have to go to the postal service anymore and sign your name on the card and mail it in. It's going to be, if your ass is 18, you are now automatically enrolled in the draft for military service. And that's coming in a year or two. I can't remember exactly when that's coming, but I know it's coming in a year or two. So, and again, that will include your daughter because they're going to need if this thing breaks crazily, they're going to need everybody and want everybody in order to protect this administration and his cronies. So
Yeah.
I could see that happening. Seriously, honestly, I can't. It's sad to say, but desperate people do desperate things, and I can see that happening. The fact that the military has gone along with orders they were given with respect to the speedboat strikes, those things were totally against the UCMJ. The fact that the military has gone along with other things that have happened, the deployments in American cities, not what we're supposed to do. That's not what we're here for. If we're not asked to come in by the governor, 9 times out of 10, we're not supposed to deploy. There was not a federal law passed that needed to be enforced. So those troops should never have been federalized. That's a problem. Those things are huge errors in the command structure of the United States military,
Yeah.
and it could go very wrong very fast in the very near future.
Yeah.
If you look at 2029 from my perspective, my thoughts on it, we need to talk about putting buffers in place so that no one can do this again. We need to talk about the potential of either expanding the court or putting term limits on the court. Either way, not necessarily the court. I'm not excluding it either. People need to be impeached. People need to be held to account for their role in what this administration has accomplished. And I'm willing to go up to top, meaning go for the low lying vote, get their cooperation, exchange for testimony, so you can get the bigger fish later. I don't care how it goes, but somebody's need to go to jail for real. Somebody's need to go to jail for real. And somebody's need to be the example for everybody else. We will never do this again. And if you do, there will be straight up consequences for those actions. The Democrats need to grow a pair. The Democrats need to. I was going to get vulgar, but I'm not. The Democrats need to
Come on, we got a
take
pair.
the stick.
We got Hakeem, we got Corey, we got the AOC. We used to have Jasmine. She doing hair somewhere. I think she do nail now. She's a lawyer. Let me leave her alone.
I want to say this though. The politicians, it's not about having them.
Right. It's about
20
having us.
2029 needs to be as elaborate as 2025 was, and even more in depth. We should be making sure that anything reflecting the Confederacy is seen as treason. That needs to be on the books. Anybody that supported this administration and broke laws, international as well as national, should be military court-martialed as treason.
Or military tribunal. I got you.
As treason.
Yes.
And that's just that. But on the other side of it, somebody asked about reparations that was precise. I think reparations would help the country in 2029. The only thing that I fear about with reparations is that we're so driven on the check that we'll forget the other portions of reparations, and we will forget that part of this is about us healing ourselves as well. And we need literature, we need ideology placed back into making this country what it was promised to be. That has to be a large portion of what 2029 has to be about. I think, Lee, you have to have both term limits as well as being able to expand the courts. You need to have term limits on Congress. You need to have term limits on the Senate. You need to do away with APAC. If they're going to stick around, they need to register as a foreign entity. We also have to reverse the Citizen Uniteds. That needs to go. Just like the conservatives had a plan, Citizen United needs to go. We need to do away with these corporations being able to buy up millions of acres of land and property in the United States. Give that shit back to the people. Oh yeah, yeah. Term limits and age limits for sure, Marlon. But I just think that it has to be a litany of things that we have to take a look at and write down. And another thing that we have to think about too is we can't be so extreme when it comes to a lot of the left leaning things. And we got to be real. Some shit went too far. We went too far when we start talking about men changing their gender and competing against women in sports. That scared a lot of people. Men changing their gender and going into bathrooms with girls. That went too far. Like some stuff we have to really ask, where do we want to go? I agree with Rashi about increasing birth rates on our end. But you can't do that as long as you allow propaganda to be put online with these made up fake scenarios consistently that divide us, to have us debating shit that didn't exist. Like there's just a level of stuff that I feel like should be regulated on social media platforms and even in the gossip realms. Because as far as y'all don't know, Megan and Clay may have never been a real relationship. That may have been to help Meg get her image back, to help her sell a record. And you guys are fighting amongst each other in order for this play to happen. And it's on the world stage. And look what that can do to our community. So I'm just saying there needs to be a lot of shit that should be regulated. This whole thing with reality TV, that shit needs to be outlawed. You call yourself reality TV, which you're saying that it's real. Well, if it's real, the shit shouldn't be scripted.
Say that again. There
And if
should be no writers.
it should be no writers. And if it's not that, then we need to call it what the fuck it is. And if it's bad for the country, then we have to say collectively that shit needs to go. If social media is bad for the country, okay, that shit has to go. But we have to really, as Americans, grow up. I hate to say it, we are the youngest superpower in the world, but we're immature with that power. We've pretty much gave the 7-year-old an AK, full ammunition,
Hey, watch the house.
in the middle of the family reunion. And we're expecting this 7-year-old and all of his citizens, and that's including us too as well, to know exactly what to do with the rest of these societies that are a lot older than us, that have laws, that has culture intact a lot longer than us. and we want to decide in the middle of the family reunion whether we should shoot, piss on the floor, or eat some candy. That's pretty much what it is.
All right, we got like 6 minutes left, so let me read Precise's comment, then I'll get everybody comments so we can wrap up. Precise said, as far as blacks being healed, we all won't, bro. I think we just need to get that money to the 1/3 of us that will do the right. I'm pretty sure he meant thing. The rest are probably dump everything completely into the economy and be broke. If we use the ones we need to fix as the focal point, they'll use that as a reason to not give us reparations. I got you. Um, so I'll go first. Let's go around, and then I'll close it out with how I normally do. What I took away from this week is this war is gonna be a long term factor in a lot of our lives. Iran not giving their um, resounding response to the truce offer is problematic on a lot of levels. Because we have a child in the White House, I could see us going back to dumping munitions in Iran that we really don't have to dump, which leaves us vulnerable to attack from somebody else at some point. Also, monetarily, what this has done is expose the US dollar to a strain that it did not need. Folks are going away from the dollar as being the gas dollar. And that is a problem because, again, we don't make anything here in America. So, in order for us to get stuff, we have to import stuff. That could get even more expensive because people can just charge us more money. They ain't got to charge us the same price. Yesterday price ain't today's price, and it's our fault because we went to war in Iran. So that's how that can happen. That's all I got. Rashi, what you got?
I agree with you on the manufacturing tip, but I don't think it's smart with the fact that we already buy carbon credits and stuff from other nations for us to be considering us a manufacturing hub anymore. We've already fucked it up too much.
Right.
But I do believe in us investing in nations that we have fucked over and be building their manufacturing capabilities so they can practice on, the open market on the world stage. And that's why I said earlier that I think we should be investing in Africa. We should be investing in African manufacturing. We should be buying African shit as much as we can. Cause I mean it can't be that much less quality than some Chinese shit, you know what I'm saying? They making that to fall apart in your hands now. So uh a shift in who we align ourselves with as far as not nothing major. Like I ain't saying go buy you an African car, even though they have them. I'm saying all them African fast, the quick made clothes, the little toys, and the little stuff that we count on for China. We need to start investing in ways where we get that made in Africa, because they have an anti-waste initiative. Africans is ready to pick through some plastic so that they can make a particular item out of said plastic. They ready to do e-waste retrieval. And they have they have the largest, youngest population on the planet. So if we wanted to train them up, and no, Thomas, I'm not forgetting the power of the African American child's mind and what they can do. I'm just saying, if you're talking 5 years from now and how we can align ourselves to be considered stronger on a global market, it is in our realignment in manufacturing in Africa. I believe in it, and so I'm gonna start looking into it to see what can be made in Africa, and what's currently being made that we can buy from them and not China. I mean, this is easy as getting an African shirt instead of a Bangladeshi shirt. Same shit. They know how to sew.
All right, Thomas, what you got?
The black man does not always like to kick down walls. Sometimes it's okay to open the door for us and let us in. This week, I've thought about a lot of the uh, barriers that brothers have to go through, and people are asking about our mental well being. Part of it is that we have to struggle and fight for everything that we get more than everyone else, from the lack of access to resources through government to even being able to still hear those car doors lock when you're crossing the street in urban areas. We deserve, brothers, to be able to take a break. We deserve for things to be easy for us, but we also deserve to make it easier for each other. So just watch your six when you're out there, but also when you see another black man, don't think about, hey, here's another hurdle I can throw your way. Let's remove those obstacles for one another so we can make it easier.
Gotcha, gotcha. Look, family, we ran a little over, but it's all good. Thank you all for joining live. Those who watch and listen later, appreciate you all too. As we always say about this time, if no one's told you they love you, we do it, and damn thing you can do about it. Until next week, family.